know I got enough to get.
Mirror and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Well, we continue to be on location, and here we are once again for this Monday. It's Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com and streaming live along the Hersam Acorn Network with our entire crew here at Ridgefield. I'm Rob Adams, Eric Gendron right now directing. He'll join us in a little bit. Marty Hersam behind the camera. Kate Chaplinsky, Tracy Iazi, Josh Fisher, all in the background as well. We're here for baseball in a little while as the hometown Ridgefield Tigers host the New Canaan Rams, and that comes your way at 4 o'clock. 3:50, we'll say, give or take, for the pregame show. Josh and I on the call. Maybe see if Eric joins us as well, but that's coming up in a little while from now as we get a look at these Tigers. First time we will have seen the Tigers this year, and coming into today, the Tigers 3-4, but 5-4 overall. So trying to make a run for a playoff spot, at least in the state. You need 8 to do that because you need to get 40% of your wins. So 8-12 gets you a playoff spot. On the New Canaan side of things, they have been very good, and we saw them earlier in the year, 5-0 in the FCIAC, 6-1 overall. So we welcome you to Ridgefield, this multi-named facility. I was telling Eric before the broadcast, and Eric's covered sports around these parts for quite a while, that, you know, this place has so many names. The scoreboard says Tiger Stadium on it. The name of the park itself is Governor Park. Jaculi Field is one of the names that I know Tim Murphy has told me, and the old high school as well. So take your pick. Of course, it's the Ridgefield Playhouse as well, which is back behind us. We were trying to figure out as we opened the show, there is a tour bus out in the parking lot taking up probably about 10 parking spaces over there. And we think we have figured out the identity of the bus belongs to the Water Boys. We're not sure. Daughtry coming to town tomorrow night here at the Ridgefield Playhouse. So, and after that is Kumiko the Treasure Hunter. I don't know. I just look into these things and see what I can find out before they get to the Breakfast Club 30th anniversary. So, for you 80s people. Anyway, enough free Ridgefield Playhouse publicity, although we love the Ridgefield Playhouse. Right here at the top of the show, though, since I am working alone, you may be saying, okay, well, where's Paul? Paul Silverfarb has been my Nutmeg Sports colleague. He and I co-hosted the show for about a year, and where is he? Well, let us explain that Paul informed us all late last week that he's decided to move on to some different opportunities. So he has stepped away, and he has stepped away from Nutmeg Sports as well. He even kind of left me in the dark on it, in part to, I guess, well, I don't know. He and I talked about it off the air, and I, told him, I said, you didn't have to keep such a thing from me, but so be it. He's doing what he thinks is best for Beth and the kids, and so we will miss him. Perhaps we will talk to him down the road, but Paul has since moved on, and that's kind of the way it all goes. He and Carol Melgar both left the organization. In fact, late last week, you might have heard Josh and Kate and John Kovach talk about it on Behind the News last Friday, so In any event, we move on. Eric will be a part of the show. Josh will be a part of the show, and we're hoping all of our Hersam Acorn sports editors will be a part of the show as well. Dave Stewart, of course, Tim Murphy, Mike Suppy, Bill Bloxam, Rocco Veluzzo, JB Cousins. JB's not as excited to ever go in front of the camera or microphone, so maybe not JB per se, but the rest of the guys are normally pretty interested in joining us here on mic, and I'm sure we'll be able to drag them on at one time or another. So that's where we stand. We're happy to have you along. It's a late start today because of just trying to set up here at Ridgefield, so a little bit of a late start for us. On the national scene, we can spend a moment there. Of course, worlds collided. The New York Mets thought they were going to take over the world, and, well, they didn't even take over New York by the end of the weekend, losing 2 of 3 to the Yankees, which surprised me. I thought the Yankees would go out there and drop 3 straight. Didn't happen. Instead, the Yankees got the big win on Friday night to get things started. The Mets behind Matt Harvey on Saturday, and then the Yankees last night at the stadium. So 2 out of 3 for the Bombers, and so much for rumors of the Yankees' demise not necessarily happening, and the Mets have not indeed taken over New York. So, but it's just amazing. You know, we could do whole shows on fan behavior. I think that is one of the more fascinating things in all of sports, is how exactly fans react to things. Now, one of the great fan bases perhaps in all of sports is Red Sox Nation. They've always been very solid, but even they picked up people on the bandwagon as 2004 came to be, and then 07. And, you know, a great friend of mine is a big Bruins fan, and I remember the Bruins winning the Cup, a few years ago, and I remember saying to him at the time, get ready, here they come. All of a sudden, these people who had never seen a hockey puck now are longtime Bruins fans. It's the nature of the beast. So now you watch as the Met fan begins to crawl back out of the woodwork all these years of, we've had nothing to cheer about. Give us something. Well, there was a lot of running of the mouths last week, and all of a sudden Friday night, not a lot of people saying, hey, good job, Yanks, on the win. So that's again, nature of the beast, way it goes. But in any event, again, I could do whole shows on fan behavior. Let's look, as we spin it back locally, let's go back to FCIAC standings, because I want to look at the FCIAC in terms of the baseball standings. In the West, now they still do divisions, and to me, at least in the FCIAC, division championships, they're nice, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot, because it's not like they were doing in the FCIAC football championship for years, in which, whoever won the West and the East played in the FCIAC championship game. That's now fairly meaningless. The division title is nice, but it is what it is. So as I look at the Western Division, here's what I see. I see Stamford at the top at 4-3, followed by Danbury, Greenwich at 2-3 right now in the FCIAC, Trumbull, West Hill, and Central rounding out the division. Stamford having a 6-3 year, Danbury at 4-4, and we wondered what the Greenwich Cardinals would be like. Coming off last year, good team, not great team, but a team that could make some noise. Well, this year they're struggling to make noise, but again, at 2-4, they've got some work to do before they're able to make a playoff run. In the Central Division, Norwalk is 6-0, but they're 7-1 overall. Now, their game against the Brian McMahon Senators up in Cooperstown turned out to be a non-FCIAC conference game. So as a result, the Bears stay at 6-0, and they are 7-1 overall. As we said to you before on Nutmeg Sports, we know the Bears won loss on the year, and it was a pretty decisive one, 7-3 at the hands of those crosstown Senators. But again, the two teams met once already, and the Bears won the FCIAC, the actual FCIAC game. Followed in the division is Ward. Now, Ward has stumbled a little bit. They're 5-2 in the conference, but they're 7-2 overall. I still think they're a big factor. But again, baseball being what it is, it's a one-and-done type of tournament, and it's one and done in virtually all these sports throughout high school sports. But there's something about baseball that's so, definitive, because you just don't know. One day you're throwing, your ace Kate Chaplinsky is your starting pitcher. The next day it's Eric Gendron, and we know how that works. The ace is going to get the win, and Eric's going to struggle. And no, but the point being, momentum is, of course, next day's starting pitcher. After that comes Staples at 3-3, 5-3. I'm a little surprised that Staples is at 3-3. I really thought Staples would be one of the dominant teams in the FCIAC. And again, they're 5-3. They're going to make a playoff run in the state. But in the conference at 3-3, they have some problems right now. Then comes Ridgefield, we said 3-4, 5-4 overall. Now, who is this Tiger team? Again, it's a team that, much like last year, had its peaks and its valleys as it tried to run its way into 2 playoff scenarios. Right now, kind of a middle-of-the-pack team in the FCIAC, but in the state, as we said, at 5-3. They're in pretty good shape. After 8 games with 12 to go, you can do the math. They got to go 3-9 to make their way into the state playoffs. Ludlow after that, 2-5, 2-6. I liked what I saw from Ludlow when we saw them up at Harbor Yard, but again, they have had their struggles as well. 2-6 on the year before we rounded out with McMahon. And again, McMahon, another team that intrigued me. They've got 3 wins on the year. They're 3-6 overall, 2-5 in the FCIAC. We saw them. We liked what we saw. The problem is Paul Salata, clearly the ace of their pitching staff. And after that, what are you getting? I'm not sure. I haven't seen him enough to be able to say for sure. Definitely like the way Paul Salata pitched and played ball overall. On to the Eastern Division. We saw Darien twice this year. The first time around, we saw them in a scrimmage against Wilton, and it was a game that, essentially turned out to be a big old mess and a big old tie. That's what scrimmages are. But they are 7-0 in the FCIAC, but they are 7-2 overall. One of the losses we saw it up the line at Norwich when they lost to NFA, and lost pretty decisively that day. Not their best game of the year. New Canaan right after that. The Rams are 6-1, 5-0 in the FCIAC, and again, we'll see them here today against the Ridgefield Tigers. Another team that I thought would be really good, and it seems to be bearing itself out right now, the Wilton Warriors. The Warriors are 5-1 in the FCIAC, and they are 7-1 overall. A really good team that Tim Egan's got this year, and he felt pretty confident about that when we talked to him at that scrimmage. I talked to him off the air before that scrimmage that day. He looks like he's got a good team there that's going to be able to make some noise. Again, 8 wins get you into the state playoffs, so he's a win away from doing that. Trinity Catholic next at 6-3, and they are 5-2 in the conference. Good-looking team there for the Crusaders. Down the line, you get to St. Joe's at 3-4, 2-4, before you round it out with 2 of the teams departing toward the new CSC, which is Harding at 1-6, 2-7 overall, and Bassick has yet to win a game, 0-8, 0-6. So that's the way the standings all line up as of right now, and you get a sense for where we are in this baseball season. Some of these teams are right about at the midway point, and it's amazing to consider because here we are making our way into the last week of April, only a few more days before we hit May, and then it's the sprint to the finish line with the FCIAC Championship just about a month away right now. So still some work to do before we see that FCIAC Championship game, a game that you will see and hear right here on HANradio.com and along the Hersam Acorn Network at Harbor Yard. Again, just about a month away. I believe May 28th to be exact. Is the date of that championship game. And who will it be? As I alluded to before, baseball being such a game, you don't know. Who has your starting pitcher? What's the health of your team like? I mean, it's a little different in baseball than it is in, say, football or basketball or even hockey for that matter. From game to game, you're going with the same goalie. You're not going with the same starting pitcher. In fact, you're limited to the number of outs that a starting pitcher or a pitcher can give you. So that's where we sit with all that. We still have lacrosse to get to. Of course, we had lacrosse here on HAN Radio on Saturday. We saw New Canaan take on Greenwich, so we can talk a little bit more about that and get a sense of where we sit in FCIAC lacrosse. So we'll take a time out here on this wild and crazy edition of Nutmeg Sports. Hopefully Eric and Josh will join me in a little bit, but I'm happy to be with you from here at Ridgefield. Can't say Ridgefield High School. You're probably about 4 miles away from Ridgefield High School. This is where the high school team plays. We're out for a break on Nutmeg Sports. It is 2:33 as we continue. Ball game coming up. Pregame 3:50, 4 o'clock first pitch. But we roll on from Ridgefield on HANradio.com and streaming live along the Hersam Acorn Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands at the award season event, now through April 30th.
Brakes, sprains, injuries, and pain can now be quickly and expertly treated at Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast!
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
Yeah, hey, this is John Ratzberger. You're listening to HANradio.com.
Back with you on Nutmeg Sports on a Monday afternoon. I'm Rob Adams. Eric Gendron joins me right now as we come to you live from Ridgefield here at the multi-named facility. Should we add Gendron Stadium to it?
Sure, why not?
Why not?
I don't know if this counts for anything, but on Google Maps it is Chickoli Field. So that's what it's called on Google Maps. So I don't know if we should go with that one. I didn't see anything about Governor's Park here, but
it's on the kind of the cornerstone of the park along this new brick that they've put down here. And this is only within a few years old that they redid all this a few years ago. It used to be just kind of one of these kind of chain link dugouts, that they used to have here. And boy, I've had some cold days in this place as you're up at the top of the hill and you got the police department off to our far right. In fact, that's the flag that they use for the stadium is the flag from the police station. So, in any event, good to see you for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. No, this is a great spot, and I probably my first year covering FCIAC sports was probably the first year this got renovated, and so my only experience has been with this place being nice, and this is one of my favorite baseball spots to come, actually.
We talked about baseball quite a bit in the first segment, and what are your thoughts as we almost hit the midway point?
Yeah, some very interesting things shaking out here, and it's kind of funny to see. It was always kind of the Norwalks and Stanfords of the world, and and Greenwich too, obviously, and Staples, obviously, was always kind of top dog there for a while. It's kind of interesting to see Darien and New Canaan, taking their battle over to baseball now too. The endless battle between Darien and New Canaan, and obviously New Canaan coming away with the state championship. Was that a couple years ago that they did that? And a great run of baseball for New Canaan in recent years, and. Should be a great matchup today. I'm really looking forward to seeing this matchup between two really good teams and two teams that hit the ball well and pitch well. So.
Yeah, Ridgefield's record's a little better than I thought it would be at first. They look a lot better in the overall state. Now, the FCIAC is still, it's certainly a tough conference for baseball as well. But you mentioned New Canaan, and Josh is off screen, but I know that I think it was 1951, I want to say, was that last championship that they won, and Josh was the editor of the New Canaan Advertiser at that time. So, not in 1951, but when they won it 2 years ago. I think it was 2013 that they won that championship, and I think it was the first time in, I want to say, 62 years. But it's been a long time since New Canaan won, and for Ridgefield, they're trying to right things. In fact, some of their players have already made their way into the ballpark. New Canaan has yet to arrive.
Yeah, that New Canaan team was a lot of fun to cover. I was grateful enough to cover a lot of that team that year, and we got to go to the semifinal, but I didn't get to go to the state championship.
What happened?
I got taken off to a different assignment. Thus is the life of a reporter that's covering an entire county for the company that I used to work for, so as opposed to a specific town. But I had a lot of fun covering that That 2013 team that won the state championship.
Now, you've seen some of the baseball this year. What else has stood out to you? What team do you think is Darien it in your mind? Is it New Canaan? Who are you looking at?
Like you were saying, with high school baseball, where everything is in single games as opposed to series, like when you get to the college, at least you get at least a 2-game series, sometimes a 3-game series at the college level. Just these 1 games, it's so hard to tell. And then when you get to the playoffs, it really is unfortunate that, we have this system where it's one and done. I feel like with some of these sports, especially with baseball, you should, raise the bar a little bit and have teams have to be 500 to make the state playoffs instead of that 8-win mark.
Right.
And so you have fewer teams, so you have a little bit more time, so the semis and championship can be best of 3. I feel like that would be, just a fairer assessment of the talent that is in this state as far as baseball goes.
I think that's a great question to throw at Joel Cookson the next time we have him on, because I agree with you. In hockey, I can see the one and done. I don't love it, but I can see it. I can see it in basketball. Baseball's where I struggle with it. I think at least a 2 out of 3 would only be fair, and I think you can do that by eliminating the number of teams that make the state tournament.
Yeah, and back to your original question about how FCIAC is shaping up. I mean, we're at the halfway point here pretty much, and it seems like there are teams really asserting themselves, and Darien and New Canaan seem to be asserting themselves as the top teams to beat here, and that in Norwalk, and it will be interesting to see because things could end up in a totally different place a couple weeks from now. But it really, the talent that we have seen in New Canaan really seems to be talent that's going to stay around as long as they can stay healthy with Alex LaPolice on that team. I really think that they are going to make plenty of noise. Haven't seen Darien since the very beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Would like to see them again and see how they're shaping up. But they are undefeated in FCIAC play, and that is certainly something to say for them.
I think I saw Darien at their worst when I saw them up at NFA when they played at Dodd Stadium, because they just kicked the ball all over the ballpark that day, and I think it. Hopefully for them, they can't play any worse than they did that day.
Yeah, and that's the thing with baseball. Every day you could have your best game, and every day you could have your worst game. Every day you could have your luckiest game. Every day you could have your unluckiest game, which has been the case with my Boston Red Sox quite often lately. It seems like a different factor there every day for those guys, but. It's certainly going to shape up to a very interesting stretch run here. I'm very interested to see what those kind of 6, 7, 8 seeds shape out to be in the FCIAC, and and when as long as he can make the playoffs, anybody can make some noise. As we've seen in recent tournaments in the FCIAC, we've seen some 8 seeds get to the championship, and I believe Trumbull a couple years ago was a 7 seed that won it all, and so as long as he can get in, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's really you're a top seed, nothing's assured, and we've seen that in each sport. I think that's very fair to say, and we've seen it. It's very prevalent in baseball, but certainly, I can remember years that Greenwich went in as a very high seed and had these great years, and then they just run into the wrong pitcher on the right day.
Absolutely, and a lot of these Wilton teams, have had a lot of promise over the years, and then come up short in the playoffs, and and you talk about seeds. I mean, the year before New Canaan won the state championship, they got to the finals and lost as a 21 seed.
Right.
So that was, a great, that's pretty much that same team, and it really is pretty amazing that they were able, given the nature of the beast we're just talking about here, that they were able to get all the way back to the championship and win it the very next year. So, I believe that was as a 7 seed that year. So, really anything can happen, and just got to get in, and you can really make some noise.
I mentioned lacrosse as we turn to that for a few minutes, and Greenwich now 6-2 overall and 6-0 in the FCIAC after a pretty good victory over New Canaan on Saturday. And I thought for the Cardinals that was a significant win for them to get, because New Canaan has been elevating their game right near the top of the conference. Them and Darien, it's kind of been almost begun to feel like a 2-horse race with Ridgefield and Greenwich hanging around. But now I think Greenwich is very much in the conversation after Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And after Wednesday, we had 2 big wins in a row for Greenwich we saw. I mean, I really think that come-from-behind win that you and I saw on Wednesday at Cardinal Stadium, that over Ridgefield, that was huge. I mean, they're down by 3 goals with about 9 minutes to play in that fourth quarter, come all the way back, score, go ahead. Considering how many goals were scored in that game, it was a 14-13 final. Considering how many goals were scored in that game, they scored that go-ahead goal with 4.5 minutes to play.
That's
and
what
they
I
were
remember.
able to hold off the Tigers, and the Greenwich goalie, his name is escaping me at the moment.
Tommy Rogan.
Tommy Rogan comes up with a huge save with about a minute and a half left to go, and went right off of his stick. We could hear the clank off the stick, all the way from the announcer's box, and that was a huge win, and could be, I think took their momentum into that New Canaan game, and now to come up with a win against New Canaan as well. Man, the Cardinals are going to be a team to watch, especially as they go into a showdown against Darien coming up.
But isn't it something that the 4 teams that we're talking about are the same 4 teams that we raved about in hockey as well?
Yep. Well,
Funny how these things happen.
And in baseball now, too. Greenwich not so much this year, but, New Canaan, Darien, and
Ridgefield.
We'll see how Ridgefield does here, and I think they could very much be in the conversation as well as we go further in the season.
And one other team in lacrosse I think we can't ignore is the Wilton Warriors as well, because I think although they are 4-3 on the year, they're still 3-1 in the FCIAC, and they play a pretty good brand of lacrosse in Wilton.
No, yeah, Wilton is always there, and they always do a great job. It seems like they have to start, had some bumps to start the year. Haven't seen them yet. I'm not sure if they had graduated a lot of guys yet or not. But that's a organization, that's a program, I should say, that is always finding ways to get to that big game, and always will be a thorn in the side of teams like Darien and New Canaan.
So we still have a lot of lacrosse to talk about. We'll be busy over the next month. And baseball as well, and we're not forgetting about softball and girls lacrosse, so still a lot of stuff to do here in spring.
It is going to be a crazy May, I'll tell you that right now.
It is going to be a crazy May. As I mentioned to you, we will for sure have the FCIAC baseball championship for you, among some other stuff that we'll bring you as the spring goes along, and see what we do in terms of the state schedule and all that. And we're kind of still playing with our own day-to-day broadcast schedule, so we'll get that for you in probably another day or so, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, a lot of good spring sports around here, especially in lacrosse. Some of the best lacrosse in the country around here, and really looking forward to catching some more games.
We will pause for a moment, see if we can get Josh involved as well, and Eric can stick around. We'll see where we go from here, but we'll continue on for Nutmeg Sports. It's 2:45. Again, baseball coming up from here in Ridgefield. It'll be Ridgefield and New Canaan, first pitch at 4 o'clock, but we're out for a break. We continue on from Ridgefield right after this on HANradio.com and streaming live along the Hersam Acorn Network.
Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well, with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the Knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
This year, 3,000 Connecticut women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Hersam Acorn is a proud sponsor of the Komen Connecticut Race for the Cure. Help make an impact in the local fight against breast cancer by joining us on May 9th in Westport at Sherwood Island. With your help, Komen Connecticut invests in local breast cancer programs, helping local women beat breast cancer. Visit KomenCT.org to register, volunteer, or donate today. We race for Connecticut. Why will you race?
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersam.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports, live in Ridgefield. I'm Rob Adams. Josh Fisher about to join us. Eric Gendron slid back over to directing the show. We'll spend a quick minute while we get Josh in on the girls lacrosse scene. Just to update you on the standings, Greenwich 3-0, 5-2 overall, followed by Ridgefield at 6-1 overall, 5-1 in the FCIAC, followed by Staples at 5-2, 3-1. After that, you drop off to Stamford, Danbury, McMahon, Trumbull, and West Hill, all in the West Division. On the east side is New Canaan, 5-0 in the conference, 6-1 overall. And then there's Darien, of course. Why wouldn't they be? 4-0, 5-2, followed by Wilton at 5-3, 3-2, before you get to Ward, Ludlow, Norwalk, and St. Joe's rounding things out. Josh Fisher joins us now. Josh,
hey,
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Good to get you all set to get back on some baseball today.
Looking forward to it.
This is going to be fun. This is kind of where it started for you and I last
year. It is.
Year.
We did opening day here last year, and it was even colder than it is right now.
You know, there's something about this place. I always wind up at cold April baseball games here.
And we were all excited because it seemed like it was going to be a nice day. I think it had been so cold for so long, but then I think Ridgefield was playing Pomperaug, and it went extra innings. The game never ended. I think
they're
just
still
kept
playing.
Going on. Tim Murphy came out and joined us. He was covering it for the Ridgefield Press on the call. Did not bring a jacket with him, though.
Right.
So he'd pop out, say a few words, like literally drop the mic, and then go back into the concession stand back there, drink some tea, come back out, have something to say, and then disappear back in there.
No, it's very true. As we watch, the Tigers are going to start taking some batting practice in a moment. They've set up the cage. The Rams will be here in a little bit. And, I was saying to you before, I was under the impression that the Tigers, I didn't know what they were this year. I wasn't sure that they had that good of a team, but they're in the mix.
Yeah, they're one game below 500 right now, 3-4 in the FCIAC. I believe. And, we saw that last year. Remember, Greenwich started off kind of slow last year. Was able to come. They had to win like their last 5 games, but they got in, and then they won in the first round in the FCIACs, I believe, and then ended up losing in the quarters. Was it, or the semifinals? I can't remember now. I was there. You were on vacation. I should be the one who remembers this. But it's still 8 teams, right? That make it to the FCIAC finals.
Right.
So really, and anything can happen. And I heard, like you were talking about earlier, divisions don't matter. It's kind of silly that they even
really
have
don't.
them in there. It'd be one thing if you won a division and that got you in somehow, like in hockey or basketball or baseball. But it doesn't. It just seems to be a place to, I guess you get a little banner maybe if you win. And,
I think, you do.
And to line yourself up, but it's kind of just there to be there.
Yeah,
so
it's window dressing. It really
is. And I think
is.
it would be great to see them maybe cut down to 6, and even maybe just the semifinals or just the final. Do that a best out of 3. Do a doubleheader for the first game. If you need to go 2, you go 2, and if you have to come back the next day, you come back the next day, or do one game and do a doubleheader the next day.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some kind of logistical reason that they don't do it, but I like the idea of it.
Because it's all about your pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah, and as we were saying, and we said it with Eric, I said it with myself, it's this matter of, more than any other sport I think that we see at the high school level, it's tough to have a one and done.
Right. Oh, definitely. Particularly when you get that, because with the FCIAC playoffs, with the final, you do the finals on a Friday, and then the next day on Saturday. The semis are on Friday, if I remember correctly from last year. And then they come back the next day for the final. So you're going to have different pitchers that next day, and in the championship, be nice to see that at least the 2 best pitchers on both teams go after each other.
I think that would be nice to see. Now, as you've kind of been following, listening, watching, what's the sense you're getting? I asked Eric before. I'll ask you. What's your sense around the FCIAC?
Well, I mean, it is amazing. Like Darien, or like Eric pointed out, how Darien and New Canaan. I mean, Darien just continues to up their game. But if you remember last year, they started off really well.
Right.
And I think it's that artificial turf field that they have. They get to get out there. We were talking to Mike Scott, the Darien coach, before that scrimmage against Wilton that we did. Geez, it seems like forever ago, but it was probably only about 3 weeks ago. And they get to play every day. They're out there on the field. It has to be pouring rain for them not to be out there because they have the carpet to play on. So that helped them get off to a good start last year, but they kind of fizzled out as the year went on and everyone caught up with them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that happens this year. New Canaan seemed to be really disappointed in how they ended up last year. They got a lot of the guys back, like Alex LaPolice, who and this is the end of his baseball career.
That's right.
Also, because he just said he was going to go to Boston College to play baseball. Instead, got offered to go to Harvard to play football. He chose the Ivy League. So you got to. I think that you'll see a little extra fire maybe in him as the year goes on, knowing that this could be the actual end of his baseball career.
I think for New Canaan, one of the big things that they didn't have last year, they only had him, I think, for a game, if they had him at all, was Dave Giusti.
Right. Yeah.
And we had him on the show earlier this season when we did the game over at Meade Park against McMahon. I think that's been a big factor for them, and he's throwing the ball really well.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball really well. I think he got injured just before we were supposed to see him play.
Right.
I think last year, and we talked with his dad Paul for a while, and it seemed like the right thing to do. Set him down last year, let him come back here his senior year and play really well, and he really is. And Canaan, they always, they have that big. It's a big baseball town too. You always think of football, certainly, and you think of lacrosse, and you think of hockey when you think of New Canaan. But baseball has a big history in that town, and that town loves baseball.
As we've said, and we'll say it again because now's the right time to talk about it with you standing here. A lot of what we do as a company, and certainly as a newspaper you used to edit, is founded on baseball.
Yeah, that's Marty Hersam, who you can see the Hersam Acorn radio up here on some of our shots at least. And his great-grandfather, John E. Hersam, founded the New Canaan Advertiser in his kitchen. He worked for the other newspaper in town, the New Canaan Messenger, and they weren't running the baseball scores of the local baseball team, of which John Hersam played right field on. So he started the Advertiser, and it ran on the back page. We had the box score and a little write-up. The headline was "A Great Game of Ball." John Hersam went 0-for-3 in that game. He was hit by a pitch, though, as Dave Stewart always likes to point out. And I forget who they played, but I think it was Norwalk maybe. New Canaan played in that first game. I should know because I've actually looked at that a number of times. But that's how they started. And then, within years, the Messenger was kind of forgotten, and the Advertiser became the town paper. And now that was in 1908. I mean, just think of that. The Cubs were about to win what was now their last World Series when that first paper came out, which was in July of 08. And now it is 107 years later.
Yeah,
almost, or this in this July. So, and it still is now. There's another paper in New Canaan, but the Advertiser's been around long and strong, and we now do video of baseball games there. John Hersam would be happy.
Which we will do in just about an hour from now when you and I call it. And as I mentioned, Ridgefield continues to stretch and take some BP off to our right, and we'll have that game for you. New Canaan not here yet, but you imagine they will be here pretty soon, I would think.
Oh, yeah. It's a nice drive up here from New Canaan High School.
Yeah.
It's about 25, 30 minutes. But you don't have to get on the highway.
Nope.
You can go the back way up here. So not a lot of traffic. It's not like some of these, if they have to go up to Danbury or something like that. It's quite a hike.
And this is a facility, to be fair, that we pick in part. Yes, it's one of our markets. The fact that New Canaan will be here. Yep. So it makes it a 2-market game for us. But what makes this convenient is that we do have this plaza here that we can work from, that we do have power. You've got the dugouts. I mean, this is a facility that is conducive to us broadcasting from.
They've done a great job with this facility. It just keeps nicer and nicer. I played Babe Ruth ball on here when I was in middle school, and it was always fun when you saw on the schedule you were playing here. Then it was called the Old High School. I know now we have several other different names for it, but it's a beautiful field. You got the great backstop here, plenty of room around, and then just this little plaza back here. Good stands, great. One of the best places to watch baseball in the FCIAC too, because you have the background stands as Kate Chaplinsky's back there settling in rather well. Back there. So
I'm honored. We've got Kate at a sporting event.
Right.
I mean, this is a big deal.
It is. And a good attitude came with her, too, today. So
considering it's rather chilly and windy here today. But, yeah, you do have, if that sun hits you wrong, it gets a little bright, but the coverage there is pretty good.
But it will be nice once we get a little deeper into May, and it finally warms up here on the hill.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good time for sure. We'll take a final break here on Nutmeg Sports. We'll come back and start putting a wrap on it. Want to make sure I recognize I don't have any other names, but looks like we've got some new folks joining the HAN Radio family today, so happy for that as well. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and put a wrap on it as we get you ready for baseball in just about an hour's time. Josh and I, along with Eric and the whole crew, continue from here in Ridgefield on Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com and streaming live along the Hersam Acorn Network.
Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The dock shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands at the award season event, now through April 30th.
Located in the heart of picturesque downtown Ridgefield at 13 Governor Street, Colby's is the area's premier retailer for blinds, shades, shutters, and draperies, and is one of the select few Hunter Douglas Gallery dealers. A family-owned and operated company, Colby's experienced staff will work with you in choosing the best treatments for your home or office and offer free measuring and expert installation. Colby's also carries an extensive line of decorative fabrics including Schumacher, Durley, Tebow, and more. Or browse over 400 books in our wallpaper library from famous designers such as Stroheim, Schumacher, Ralph Lauren, Tebow, and York. Take advantage of our Fashion in Motion savings event with savings and rebates on Hunter Douglas shades with Power Rise technology. Colby's of Ridgefield. We are committed to your complete satisfaction. 203-438-8531.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
Back with you live in Ridgefield. I'm Rob Adams. As we hit 3 o'clock straight up, we're at 3:01, but some of the new crew hanging out with us. Like I said, they all showed up while we were in the middle of doing the show, so I haven't even really had a chance to meet any of them. They're all going to be running cameras and joining the family today, and hopefully enjoying the family today. Thanks to Josh and to Eric as well. Marty, Tracy, Kate were all here as well, so they were a big help to us, and we're looking forward to seeing Ridgefield come out and take on New Canaan. New Canaan just arrived. They're over in the first base dugout. The Tigers here on the third base side, and we'll have that game for you at right around 3:50. Josh and I will be on 3:55, give or take, by the time we get the lineups and everything written down, and we'll be off and running. But first pitch with these guys, and what's turning into a fairly interesting FCIAC game will come your way at 4 o'clock. So we'll be back with you for that. And again, running through all these schedules and all these standings, you get a sense for where we are, and you get a sense for kind of what's going to go on here with Nutmeg Sports as we'll work some of the other Hersam Acorn guys in, and maybe if some of these guys are into talking as well, maybe we'll talk to them in the future. Eric will be a part of it as well. So we'll start wrapping things up so we can reset because we want to get all the cameras lined up and ready to go, and we'll be back with you, just as I said, within an hour's time for baseball from here at the multi-named facility in Ridgefield. So again, thanks to Josh Fisher, Eric Gendron for coming on the show, and to the whole crew for joining me here. But that'll do it for Nutmeg Sports for now. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For our entire crew, I'm Rob Adams. We'll talk to you in about an hour for baseball, New Canaan, and Ridgefield. We'll talk to you then. But for now, from Ridgefield, so long, everyone.
Fuel up and shout, yabba dabba dabba, yabba dabba dabba, yabba dabba 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 doo, yabba dabba 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 doo.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.